Okay, hello everybody. Today we are going to be doing a second review of the Batman movie because I did go to see it in theaters again this Friday. So I guess that was 2 days ago. But this time, at least, I was able to kind of sit there, and I didn't really realize how distracting the people were behind me in the first time I went to see it in theaters. Because I got home, and usually I'm pretty good at doing a review a day or 2 days later and remembering most of the stuff, but oh my god, I guess, yeah, I was just, maybe I was just so immersed in the actual film itself that I just wasn't really paying as much attention as I thought, and I had people behind me talking the entire time and trying to drown them out the best I could, and somebody with their seat just going like, "Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm." So yeah, that didn't help matters at all either. So yeah, it was just kind of an unfortunate circumstance. Even though I still thought that it was probably the best Batman movie I've seen so far. But this time I was actually able to remember the names of people that the Riddler was killing. So the first person he kills was Mayor Mitchell, and I guess because obviously Mayor Mitchell was corrupt, that's why he's killing all these people. And then he goes after one of the cops. I can't remember his actual title, but his last name was Savage. I do know that. And then he goes after somebody in the DA's office, and his last name was Colson. I think he might have been, what is that? What would that be? Deputy Director? I think Deputy Director Colson was his title, if I'm not mistaken, and he was in the DA's office. So the Penguin owns this club called the Iceberg Lounge, and obviously it's a pretty, I guess you're not going to be able to get in unless you have a membership or whatever, or, yeah, and clearly there's security there. But so first, obviously Bruce Wayne goes as the Batman in order to get in to find out why this Nani Kozlov was, or who this Nani Kozlov was that was with Mayor Mitchell in these photos. And we find out that this Selena Kyle girl, who also works at the Iceberg Lounge, knows Nani and I guess is keeping her safe. And we also find out, obviously, that Selena Kyle is Catwoman, but I guess if you read any comics or watched any previous Batman movie, you would already know that. And yeah, so now Catwoman wasn't the biggest part of this movie, other than the fact that her father was obviously Falcone. And so this whole movie is kind of based around this Salvador Mulroney, whose drug operation was believed to be shut down, but it looks like the Penguin has just completely taken it over. And they're trying to... So the Riddler is giving them some sort of clues along the way as to who his next victim is going to be, but he never really gives it away completely. And the first clue was, what does a liar do when he's dead? And he lies still. And, oh, I wish I could remember all the riddles in the movie, because, yeah, they were really good. And I was right, because I did pay attention to it this time. The writing on the cards changed slightly. Not so much, but just enough to, I guess, if they were ever going to try to trace the writing, they wouldn't have been able to anyway, because he changed it just enough on each card addressed to the Batman that nobody would know the true identity of him until he had actually revealed himself. And oh yeah, I think the second one was the El Rata El Lata, but the Penguin corrects them and says La Rata. So yeah, I guess obviously the Riddler's Spanish was bad, and so was Gordon's and the Batman's. So yeah, we find out after a while that the Riddler knew who Bruce Wayne was underneath the mask the entire time, and he thinks that he's getting the Batman to team up with him, I guess, this entire time too, to help him with his uh, to help him with his so-called mission. And obviously he wants to, I guess, have the city taken back under criminal control, clearly, because he does end up trying to assassinate the other mayor after he blows up the shoreline with a bunch of vans. And yeah, some crazy stuff definitely goes down. When they're at the mayor's funeral, he has Coulson come in and crash the car, and then the bomb goes off around Coulson's neck, killing him. So yeah, crazy, crazy moments in this movie. And then when the flooding starts, he sends in a bunch of people with rifles and stuff. I guess they're kind of like his followers, so they're kind of doing it on their own accord after he's already been taken to jail. Because that seems to be a big play with these guys in these movies, is they get captured, and that's all part of their plan. Very similar to, I would say, what the Joker did in The Dark Knight. Kind of a similar concept there. I found that when part of his plan was to get captured after he had killed Falcone, because he said to bring the rat out into the light, and you would find where he was at. Turns out he was right across from the Iceberg Lounge, I guess, the entire time. But the real club was actually 44 Below, inside the Iceberg Lounge, where all the mobsters and, I guess, crooked cops and other stuff, other people hung out. And the drug addicts in this movie were called drop heads. So, yeah, I'm not really sure why. I guess maybe that was just the drug name, maybe, was drop head. I'm not really sure how that all kind of, why they were called that. I'm going to have to look into that a little bit more, but I guess that's really not totally vital to the story, other than the fact that, I guess, obviously, when they were orphans, the Riddler and Batman, they clearly took very different paths, because Bruce Wayne's family was assassinated, and we're really trying to figure out why they were assassinated, but I guess the Arkhams and the Waynes kind of were the pioneers of the city, and when Bruce Wayne's father was running for mayor, I guess there was all this information about to be leaked by a reporter about his wife, who he was trying to protect, and obviously didn't want that coming out when he was trying to run for mayor. So he had the reporter killed, but not really, I guess. He just wanted to put fear into this guy, and I guess he turned to Falcone, and Falcone tells Bruce Wayne that when fear wasn't enough, you have to go one step further, so he ended up taking care of it in his own way, right, by killing him. So yeah, that was pretty incredible to find out, I guess, what kind of a legacy you were leading. And I guess the Riddler was trying to convince Batman, Batman, that that was his legacy. But yeah, obviously he's trying to change things for the greater good, clearly, for himself, for sure. What else can I touch on? Obviously, the action sequences were insanely good in this movie, even though they weren't like I wouldn't say the entire focus of this movie. This wasn't supposed to be like an action-packed movie. This was more of the dark detective side, leading into what I believe is possibly going to be, even if it's just 2 movies, they're probably going to make a trilogy out of this, I would believe. And yeah, I mean, everybody was beforehand. Same thing with Ben Affleck. Everybody wasn't sure how well he would do as a Batman, but man, he did a fantastic job. But obviously, right now, I'm saying Robert Pattinson probably blew every other Batman out of the water. That's just my opinion. Maybe just because I like this style of movie so much better than the other ones. This one was by far the darkest Batman movie I've ever seen. Even darker than The Dark Knight. And some of that was pretty dark. But yeah, this one went even further. And I think that's the way DC needs to do it. They need to just keep going that darker route because it's working for them. And especially when you're competing with Marvel, who is, I don't know, I guess kind of doing the same thing, it seems, now with the Doctor Strange movie coming out. I still have to see the new Spider-Man. I heard it's really good, so yeah. Unfortunately, I just missed that in theaters. But anyway, yeah, I guess when you're kind of competing with Marvel and they seem to be going the darker road as well, and maybe we'll be getting some more rated R movies now that Deadpool's part of the MCU. I'm not really sure how that's going to go, but it's going to be interesting, yeah, to see where Marvel takes their stuff too. Yeah, but clearly DC is getting a lot darker, and especially at the end when the Riddler realizes his plan has been foiled, and he ends up meeting the Joker in Arkham, Arkham Asylum. I can only imagine, or Arkham Prison, I guess, because yeah, Batman does end up saving everybody, and the Riddler goes. Riddler obviously knows that he's hasn't won this time around, but maybe teaming up with the Joker will help. I'm not really sure. I guess we'll see possibly if there is going to be a second movie. I can't imagine there not being because on opening weekend, the box office hit 175 million, and this movie's still in theaters and still making good money every weekend. So yeah, and I've already watched it twice, so I've contributed to that twice now. So yeah, yeah, but this movie was really that good. I did give it 11 out of 10, and I still stand by that. It is my first 11 out of 10, and probably going to be my movie of the year as far as I'm concerned right now. I mean, maybe that'll change because it's still early in the year. It's only no, it's only March. Jeez, getting way ahead of myself. What else can I say? Probably, I just wanted to touch again on the simplicity of the Batmobile this time yeah, I guess it wasn't really supposed to be this top of the line like kind of like the cheesy action, I guess, which it wasn't. Like this movie was definitely more focused on Bruce Wayne discovering what his family was really like and who he really was, I guess how he was raised. And so they believe, so Falcone tells him that Mulroney probably had his family killed, and then right after uh, Alfred is attacked due to the fact that the Riddler is trying to get closer to the Batman, who he also knows is Bruce Wayne, so he really knows who he's trying to affect here. I guess the clues were kind of laid out throughout the entire thing. And it is funny, too, that even when he was trying to get caught, he left the, what did the one cop call it? The carpet, the carpet tool that he used to kill Mayor Mitchell in the beginning of the movie. He left it there on purpose so that Batman would be able to figure out that he had to tear up the carpet to find the map of the city where all the vans were along the shoreline. But by the time he figured that out, it was already too late, and that had happened. So, yeah. Where was I going? Oh, yeah. So, Falcone tells Bruce that Mulroney shot his family, or probably had them assassinated after this reporter was killed. And then oh, that's because Falcone was the rat for Mulrooney's drug operation. He was the one that ended up bringing it down, I guess. So I guess now Falcone believes that he has all the cops in his back pocket because of that. But turns out after he kills Nani Kozlov, and that's all spread over the news, that he doesn't. And then when he's brought out in the light, he's shot by the Riddler, and then the whole apartment thing happens. Right? That was the one connection that I just couldn't figure out for some reason as to why or what he was the rat for the first time around when I reviewed this. But so then when Alfred finally comes to in the hospital, he tells Bruce that it was most likely Falcone that killed his dad, and he wishes he was able to actually find and put the clues together over the years, but he never was, which is kind of unfortunate because I guess we'll never really know who killed Bruce's parents. And I'm so happy that this time around they didn't do the whole like backstory thing in the beginning of the movie, like most times they do. They do the whole Bruce as a kid, and then his parents get shot, and then they go into him as an adult. They didn't have to do that this time. It was kind of like a backwards way of doing it, right? Like Bruce finding out what his family was into when his dad was running for mayor and all this other stuff. So yeah, kind of the corruption within who you think is actually good, and I guess really shows how far people can be. If people are pushed to a certain extent, what they are capable of, I think was more in this, what was supposed to be the focal point of this movie, in a sense. And at the very end, the end action scene where Batman comes in, blows up the roof, and is taking out all the, I guess, like Riddler followers uh, before they can do any more damage than they already have. Uh, at the very end, he gets shotgun blasted from pretty close range, and he's hanging there and almost gets shot again, but Catwoman is able to come to his rescue. But then when he sees Catwoman being dragged away, he pulls out this vial of stuff and opens his suit right near his leg and injects himself. Now, the liquid was green, so I want to say that it was probably kryptonite, and he somehow found a way to maybe, I don't know, like, found a way to, how would you word that? He's found a way to make small doses enough, like small batch doses for a human to give them some sort of, I guess, extra strength, because obviously he was in immense amounts of pain. So when he injects with him, he just like rises up and then just starts beating the crap out of this one Riddler follower. And yeah, that was pretty crazy because it made him extremely angry. And then Gordon has to like come up to him and go, "Hey, stop, stop!" Like when he turns around, he realizes who it is, right, with his fist held like this, and goes, "Okay, I'm done." Yeah. So I'm kind of wondering because after that he was actually able to stand. So I'm assuming that somehow he was able to find a healing property in kryptonite that obviously sped, yeah, like healed his body uh, quickly, I suppose. And one of the other cool scenes was when he was in the police office. I think this was right after the. No, what scene was that after? I'm trying to remember now. Oh, right after Coulson dies, and he's yeah, and he gets blown back from the bomb. Now, obviously, this suit was so far advanced that even bullets couldn't penetrate it. So it was extremely armored. So obviously, a blast from a bomb probably isn't going to do that much damage, but knock him out. So yeah, and then when he wakes up at the police station, all the cops are trying to blame him, and he ends up assaulting one of them. And then Gordon says he needs a room with him, and helps him escape from the police station. And the suit, he turns it into like this rubberized stuff comes over the whole suit, and he turns it into a wingsuit. So he just jumps off the top of the police station and like glides through the streets. So that was a cool scene, and I didn't realize until the end that his how modified his bike really was, but it had like a really small tire on the front and a huge tire on the back. Um, so yeah, he obviously did like his own modifications and stuff to his vehicles, because the Batmobile was basically just like a really like top of the line, like souped up like an old style muscle car with like a kind of like a jet engine on the back, basically, and that's how he was able to end up catching the Penguin and hitting his car and flipping him. So yeah, lots of obviously cool and darker action scenes in this movie. Like I know you see the Penguin scene in the trailer where he's just walking up to the car, and honestly, I wasn't sure how dark this movie was going to be, but it was definitely more horror based, I would say, as far as that goes. It almost was kind of like a horror movie in a way, with action scenes, really. Yeah. So that I think that was a cool concept, a cool way to take the Batman movie. And again, I give this an 11 out of 10. And I think now I feel like I've actually done this movie justice now with the review, because my first review was obviously, yeah, I guess I was just too distracted. So now I feel like I've touched on a lot of the story points, and I don't really think I need to do the casting list again for this, because we all know who was playing who. And if you need to look it up, you can always go onto IMDb, and you can just download the app on your phone and set up an account there, and yeah, rate the movie for yourself as well, whatever you thought it deserved. Um, and yeah, I guess I'll see you guys. This review won't be coming out. I guess it's kind of pointless to even say that at the end of the video, but yeah. Maybe I'll kind of do like another update video as to say this review will be coming out a month after, but yeah. I guess it's still at the end of the video, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah, I feel like I've done this movie justice this time, so yeah. What else? I don't really think there is much else. Yeah, there was something else I had in my mind, but I can't remember what it was. No, I've touched on all the points. There was just something else I was going to say. But anyway, I can't remember, so it couldn't have been that important. But I will see you guys in the next one, which is, I'm not sure. I guess Morbius will probably be my next big review for this year. And then I think Sonic comes out pretty soon too. And obviously now we have to go back and do Spider-Man and Uncharted, because we missed those in theaters. And there's a couple other like random movies that came out that I kind of want to do reviews of. So, but I think we'll touch on the bigger ones first, and then we'll kind of move back into just doing whatever random stuff I find or get suggested to me, because I have a few of those that I'm trying to look into to finding. I was able to find one on the Microsoft store, so I was lucky there. But the other two, I'm going to have to still do some digging. Maybe I'll have to look for them on DVD or something. Order them in from a store or something. I think that might be the route to go with the other two. Unless I can find them on another streaming platform, but we'll see. And I've been talking for 22 minutes now, so this has been a longer review than the first one even. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye for now.